Hey everybody, welcome to the MaffmanJones movie reviewing show. I'm your host, John Maffia, and today's featured film is Pacific Rim: Uprising. It's the sequel to Pacific Rim, directed by Guillermo del Toro, which is a movie where monsters and robots fought. And it had some really cool actors in it. This one is directed by Stephen DeKnight, who has done some TV work. This is his first directorial debut in the cinemas. And he's got John Boyega by his side, Scott Eastwood, Charlie Day is back, and a couple others. It takes place years after the first one with Idris Elba, who sacrificed his life, but his son, who is now played by John Boyega as an adult, he is going on a journey of pathos, a journey of self-infliction, a journey in which he has had inner conflict, and he must deal with the inner conflict by finding others who are just as lost as him and dealing with the apocalyptic world that is monsters and robots that once fought together, and now he has to find the inner light within himself to create the outer light within the actual environment. That was not the plot of Pacific Rim Uprising. It's actually just about John Boyega's character, who has to team up with some other people to fight some aliens that are coming out of the Pacific Rim again, for reasons unknown. And only unknown because I'm not going to tell you, because I don't talk about spoilers in my reviews. I didn't love Pacific Rim 1, but I did enjoy it for what it was, and I really felt the weight of the battles between these giant robots and these giant monsters coming out of the water. And the world that Guillermo del Toro built felt fully realized. And even like the story and everything, like it was a well-made kaiju movie. This one, however, does not have the same magnetic pull as far as weight is concerned. You feel it, but there is some kind of absence there without Del Toro. Stephen DeKnight, though, does a good job of directing a fun movie with characters that you do kind of care about, a couple of them anyway, and even though the story has some real heavy flaws in which I wasn't able to really go with it, I still had a lot of fun with the action and with John Boyega's character, because he really carries this movie with his charismatic leading. When push comes to shove and the guy has to deliver a motivational speech, I really bought it. And usually I hate when we get to that part of these movies where like we have to rouse up our characters and get them ready for the big fight, but John Boyega sells it. Some of the new supporting cast was actually pretty strong too. The main younger girl who is with John Boyega, I really liked her a lot and her little arc, even though her backstory is pretty cliched, and the way they deliver and execute her backstory is like flat out hilarious. Charlie Day is back, and the direction they take with his character I was not the biggest fan of. It was weird though, and I do have to admire the movie for doing something really, like, unexpected with him. I think they could have probably taken a different approach, but in falling in line with how this movie just was like batshit bonkers crazy in terms of plot, I guess it makes sense in that way, because this movie for the most part feels like a sequel to Pacific Rim. It feels the same in tone and story, and just the world that was built the first time and now we're revisiting. The story, however, does get a lot more ridiculous than the first one does, because even in its insanity, the first one felt grounded in what it was trying to tell as a story. This one does some really out there things that you would only see in like a Saturday morning cartoon when like you're in the latter seasons, when you're just trying to make something up to keep kids interested. And mentioning the whole Saturday morning cartoon thing, which does work in the movie's favor, it also feels like the movie was written by a 5-year-old. When you watch the movie, the way things progress, it does honestly feel like a few little like toddlers in kindergarten, like in a sandbox, just saying like, oh, what if we just took all of these cars and made them into one big car? And what if that G.I. Joe character, what if he lost his head and he became like the headless horseman? He could like use his headless powers to, construct lightning. Just the most out of nowhere shit. It just seems like whoever was in charge here just wanted to tell a story that was appealing for younger audiences, and that's not a bad thing. The plot here isn't good, but it's not insulting or harmful for anybody. It's just something that you have to go with. If you can't go with it though, you're not gonna like this movie at all. You will dread your experience here. But if you can go with it, you'll enjoy yourself. Speaking in the beginning of this review, when I was saying there was less weight, it literally feels like there is less weight and gravitas to the situation that is the action sequences. They're a lot of fun, they're colorful, they're bright, and there are some really interesting ideas with the way that these robots and monsters fight. But it also feels like these characters are being thrown around these cities and things are just coming down like they're nothing, like they're just built out of, like, I don't know, sandpaper. That's the first thing I thought of, sandpaper. You're literally watching this giant homage to like anime and movies of the past where it comes to like Godzilla movies. Pacific Rim Uprising is one of those movies, in my opinion, that could be seen as a good or bad movie depending on where your perception is at. If you're looking for a film that will teach you something, will make you learn something, where you walk out of the theater just not able to sleep at night because just your mind is racing, and that's what you're expecting from this, in that case, you will walk out of this movie very disappointed. But if you go in looking for a movie that caters to your nostalgia, to your childhood, like a Saturday morning cartoon where it's just colorful, flashy, then you will come out of this satisfied, I think. Pacific Rim Uprising is weaker than the first installment, but it does some cool things with its characters and the story. Batshit bonkers, but it has fun with it, and it's not trying to insult its audience. It's just here to deliver a good time, and it did deliver a good time. It was fun, but it's forgettable, and it's a movie that I'm probably not going to remember in a month. Looking at things optimistically, as I always try to do in life just in general, the movie could have been a lot worse. There are a lot worse movies you can see in theaters that don't deserve your money. This is a good time, and you're not going to hate yourself for seeing it. This is one of those films that I think younger audiences are going to really gravitate to and just really come back to on rewatches for years and years to come, which isn't a bad thing. I'm going to give Pacific Rim Uprising a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's a Sam Worthington Applebee's meal. It's aight, but it's a fun kind of aight. But now I want to know from you guys, what did you think of Pacific Rim Uprising? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you enjoy it more than the first, or vice versa? Did you not enjoy it as much as the first? And because this movie lazily sets up a sequel at the very end, out of nowhere, after an abrupt ending, are you looking forward to Pacific Rim 3 if this movie actually makes money at the box office? Also, if you enjoyed my review, please like, subscribe, and also, I never mentioned this, but the bell. Ring that bell because you'll get notifications of my videos every time I make one, because apparently subscription boxes are fucked up these days on YouTube. Also, check out my social medias and my Stardust, and that's it. I'm John Maffio, aka MaffmanJones, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Deuces.